All right, I got 7 o'clock, so I'm going to call the meeting to order. First thing I'd like to do is take a roll call. I'll start with Planning Commission members. I know that Tim Ruth is at this evening. So Alex, you're here?
Here.
Andy?
Here.
John?
Here.
And Tony, you here?
Yep, here.
Okay, that's all Planning Commission members. Who do we have with the Schlosser project?
Andy Schlosser.
Okay. I see we have Supervisor Miller with. Is David Collingwood on?
I do not see him on.
Okay. All right, so that's everybody. I don't need to go through all the rules again. Just make sure your cell phones are off and respect everyone's conversations. So the first item on the agenda, well, we had reordered the last time. So the second item is the approval of the January meeting minutes. Do we have any discussion on that? If none, I'd look for a motion to approve.
I'd so
This is
motion,
Andy.
Alex.
I'll make a motion.
All right, we'll give that to Andy. Can I get a second?
Alex, I'll second.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
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 Aye, opposed, motion carries. Thank you. All right, so we're going to go right into the Schlosser Farm project. Mr. Schlosser, I'm going to call you Andrew if that's all right with you, because we have an Andy on the Planning Commission.
Yeah, it's great.
All right, so Andrew, I'll let you sum up what's going on here. How's that?
Okay, Greg, did you want to put up a plan? So we were here back in, I'm going to say it was back in May. It's taken me quite a bit of time to get through because, to get through changes because I had to learn how to do a managed release concept detention basin, which is a relatively new design criteria, and it comes with a bunch of new forms for DEP. So long story short, I had a bunch of projects backed up that I had to learn how to do these things, and we needed to get the ball rolling with DEP. So we did that. We also submitted to Telford Borough Authority and to PennDOT. The project is pretty much the same. The Department of Health has ruled that the existing sewage treatment disposal area cannot continue to be used. So that area that was, it was a large drain field for the existing house. That is now turned into a lot. Really, that's the only significant difference in this plan versus the previous plan that was here. Just a quick overview. This property is a little over 30 acres. We're putting in a cul-de-sac, and there's one existing house and new unit proposed. I believe the smallest lot is about an acre, a little over an acre, and the largest one I think is a little over 5 acres. They have on-site septic sewer in the facilities that are known as micro mounds. Each lot has a primary and a reserve, and the existing house will have a new micro mound system as well. There is public water out in County Line Road, and that will be extended into the site. There will be, it will go all the way up to the end of the cul-de-sac. We're adding a couple fire hydrants along the way. So you have public water and on-site sewer. If you notice, there is on the right-hand side of the plan, you can see like a hatch area with little, they look almost like stars at this size. Those are little wetland symbols. There is significant wetlands in the wooded area on this property, and we are not proposing any disturbance in those areas. There's also ditch that runs up through the left-hand side of the property. Same with that side. There's nothing going on in those environmentally sensitive areas, nor the buffers that go around them. So we're not getting any relief from the ordinance on those issues. We're basically putting houses out in the field that are already existing here. So we have a review letter. I guess there are a couple of issues that we should talk about. Are there any questions before we jump into review letter?
I have none. I'll wait till we go down through the review.
I would just say, Andy, could you, there was several changes, mostly to the road design that were discussed at the last planning commission, and you made those changes to the plan. Could you just go over that? So
Yeah, just as
maybe
a
refresh your
brief
memory.
overview, we had designed in a right of way 50 foot wide with a cartway of 28 feet. And we've widened that per the discussion that right of way is now 52 foot and the cartway is 30 feet wide. The previous design had no on-street parking proposed. This has on-street parking on the one side, and then there are signs on the other side to restrict it. There is sidewalk on the, shall we say, the right-hand side of the cul-de-sac that wraps up and around the bulb and connects back down to the the driveway for the existing house. So each lot, not each lot, all the lots 1 through 7 have sidewalk in front of them. The 2 lots on the left-hand side of the cul-de-sac do not have sidewalk. So you have a little bit wider cartway with on-street parking permitted. Now, the houses that I show on the plan are 50 by 70 with a 3-bay parking garage and room for 2 or 3 vehicles outside the garage doors, and then there's also a turnaround area shown for each that is big enough to put 2 more cars. So from an impervious surface perspective, there is enough room to have significant amount of vehicle parking on the lot. Obviously, if you're having a party, there's going to be some overflow, but there's now room for on-street parking. So you have the cartway, then you have a grass strip, and then you have sidewalk proposed. There's provision in the detention basin design to allow sidewalk on both sides of the street. I did the stormwater design to accommodate sidewalk on both sides of the street. So that is, if you ever wanted to come back and put that in, that wouldn't be a problem. Was there anything else, Steve, that I
No, I think those are the big items. Didn't the original design have a boulevard entrance that's been removed?
Oh yeah, you're right, it did. And you mentioned the maintenance on it, and I felt that was a good point, that it was going to be difficult for such a small project to have that be maintained. So I just removed that.
Andrew, I have a question. This is Chris. You said you're going to allow parking on one side of the lane?
Correct. That's what we discussed at the previous planning commission.
Yeah, and I forget which side. I know we bounced back and forth on which side would be better. What are you proposing?
Yeah. We decided that since most of the lots were on the right-hand side of the cul-de-sac, that's where the sidewalk should be.
And you're going to have the parking on the sidewalk side?
Correct.
Okay, thank you.
Andrew, Alex Ulmer. One other question. I noticed on the plan it shows a snow storage easement on the bottom side of the bulb, but
Yes.
that's also where a sidewalk's going to be extending, isn't it?
There is sidewalk there, yes. Well,
So
the
you're gonna
sidewalk
store-
all the way around.
Gotcha. So there'll be snow storage over the sidewalk at that point?
Well, yeah, I mean, the snow storage has to go somewhere. So I felt that was the best location for it. if you have a recommendation to do something different, I mean, the sidewalk does wrap around the bulb in its entirety. So no matter where I put it, it's going to have to be in a location where there's proposed sidewalk.
And
just
I
wanted to
think,
clarify.
this is Steve. I think I have noted in a comment that we may get to is that's subject to review by the Public Works yet, but I didn't have the heart to ask them about snow storage easements over the last week or two, so I don't have comment back from them yet.
Yeah,
Let me-
we
Let me ask you
also
this.
going
What
to
is the-
start having discussion about the township taking private lanes as well. So
What's the intent of this?
I'm sorry, who was
What's
that,
the
Andrew?
intent of the storage easement?
I didn't hear your question, I'm sorry.
I'm sorry. What is the intent of the snow storage easement?
The intent is that the township would have somewhere to push or pile snow in a heavy storm event, and that would, go out potentially outside of the road right of way onto somebody's lot, and that the easement
Okay.
would preserve their right to do that.
Okay.
While we're talking about snow, I think we had talked about making this a snow emergency road, so there wouldn't be any parking allowed on the road during a snow emergency. Is that correct?
I don't remember us talking about that, but does that mean I need to add a sign? Add signs of some effect?
I believe
Yes.
Steve would be better qualified for that answer.
Yeah, it would just be a matter of posting signs.
Okay.
All right. I guess carry on. Go through the letter.
Okay. So, guys, did you want me to go through these one at a time and cover everything, or just the questions?
Yeah,
that
I mean, if it's a will comply, just say will comply. Unless somebody wants to talk about it, we'll just move through those.
Okay. All right. So, in the first comment, there's some discussion regarding the obviously the plan and the fact that we have wetlands and we need a JD, and Penn's Trail is working on that. They've made the submission to the Army Corps, so we're going to be waiting to hear back from them regarding that. The plans that you have in front of you right now will change a little bit because some of the wetlands that are shown on here are actually waters, not wetlands. So that's going to lead to slightly less restrictions on Lot 7. So yeah, I guess you could say at this point the plan is a little bit conservative. I don't think it's not going to change anything design-wise, but it will allow for, well, I shouldn't say that because I don't know the impact yet, but we might be able to add a little bit of impervious to Lot 7. So I'll take a look at that when I run through the calculations on this change to that environmental assessment. The second comment is regarding the waivers that are requested. So the first one is in regarding of the reduction of existing impervious surfaces in the stormwater calculations. The property breaks in two, and it kind of drains. Some of it drains to the left-hand side, and some of it drains to the right-hand side. And on the left-hand side, I don't have much in the way of new improvements going to that side. And there are existing improvements that drain that direction, but because of the restrictions of the setbacks from wetlands or environmentally sensitive areas, I don't really have room to do a stormwater management system on that side to make up for the reduction to meadow conditions from the existing conditions. And so I'm asking for a waiver to that effect. Now, Steve and I have talked about this, and I'm going to make an attempt to get more stormwater from the left-hand side of the property to the right-hand side property to to have some additional decrease in stormwater flows to the left side, but I don't know that I'm going to make it down to the meadow pre-development condition. So I am asking for a waiver for that. The
Well, let's
second one,
defer to our engineer on that situation. Steve, you got any comment on that?
Yeah, as Andrew said, we did talk about it. The ordinance, there's two catches in our ordinance. One is all existing, you can't get credit for existing impervious surface in a subdivision or land development. So if you had a building on the site, you're supposed to view the site as the pre-development condition as it had no impervious surface on it, take it back to its natural state. And then the second part is the natural state has to be considered meadow, which is a little bit less runoff than, lawns might be. In this particular case, it's the farmhouse and the driveway and thing that goes back to the farmhouse. That's the side that Andy's struggling with to get the flows to work. Everything else, all the road drainage and 99% of the new impervious goes to the detention basin on the right-hand side of the property. So what I suggested to Andrew was if he could show that there's no net change in runoff to the culvert under County Line Road that received that runoff from the existing house side of the property, that I could be comfortable with that, showing that there's no increase going across the street. And then all of the stormwater reductions and treatment will be done in the detention basin, which picks up most of most, if not all, of the development on the site.
Okay, I follow that. I don't think I would have a problem as long as we're not increasing on that side.
Right. That's the goal, is to not increase the stormwater anywhere.
Right.
Our ordinance
Steve, have we-
artificially deflates it.
Steve, this is Alex. Have we ever considered allowing a developer to use additional constructed wetlands to help mitigate something like that?
They could, yeah, because any kind of non-structural BMP is fair game to use.
Okay.
So even some of the plantings that are proposed on, that might be in that watershed could theoretically be used to offset any increase. The thing is, I think that Andrew's point of his waiver is it may not be an increase from actual existing conditions to actual post conditions, but when you artificially remove the existing impervious and call it meadow, on paper you show an increase.
Oh, okay, gotcha.
So we're trying to get to the point where there's just flat, no actual increase to that culvert.
Right. Yeah, and I think if that's achievable, I'd be on board with the waiver.
I agree, and like I said, I just thought that wetlands might be another option.
Right. Good point.
I'll take a look at that and see, when we change some of this stuff from wetlands to waters of the Commonwealth, I may have a little more space and flexibility. So I'll take a look at whatever options I can come up with to offset the situation.
Okay. Any other comments on that? Sounds like we're good to move on then.
Okay, good. So the second one is side lot lines not radial to street or irregular lots. And so what we have here with this waiver is our lot lines are perpendicular to the street, but because of the shape of the existing property, I had to come up with some, if you want to call it unique shapes of lots to make them make sense. there's some flexibility to change them, but I think you'll find if you look, they're pretty close to square or rectangular shapes. Lot 3 has a bit of a bend to it, but the lots out at the street are perpendicular to the street, and then as you go back, the existing tract boundary line that goes up against the horse farm, I made the property line parallel to that on the other side. So, and I don't remember, but I think that was about 250 feet. But that kind of almost has a little bit of a bend to it because of the shape of the existing tract boundary. The rest of the property lines, the side lines, pretty much go in. Well, they definitely go in perpendicular to the roads right of way. So, although we're not, these aren't, I wouldn't say that these are beautiful rectangles or squares. I think they're as close as I can get with the conditions that I'm working with here with the existing tract. And we talked about this at the last meeting, and I think when we went through it, everyone was at least somewhat comfortable with what I had done.
I agree with that. I do remember these conversations. We probably approved worse.
I think these will be nice lots.
7's a bit irregular, but I think we did hit this pretty hard in your last presentation, and I think my recollection is that we were all comfortable with it.
This is Andy, Chris. Yes, that's what we have in the minutes.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you.
The next one, which is the lot to width ratio for irregular lots, was pretty much along the same lines. The next one, item D, is street improvements along County Line Road. So along County Line Road, we're taking out some of the street trees and putting in a swale along County Line Road, and obviously we've got the connection designed in with the 35-foot radius returns and some tapering per PennDOT requirements. We've been through our first review with PennDOT, and they have not asked for any improvements out on County Line Road. So we're going to continue on unless tonight you guys tell me that you've had a change of heart and you want some more improvements to County Line Road. We're going to move forward with PennDOT, the PennDOT review process, and get that wrapped up. So we will have, there's a row of trees that are right out along the street, and that section is where the swale, there's going to be a swale along the street. Can you go up, Greg, can you scroll up one sheet to sheet number 6? Oh. So down at the bottom of the sheet, you can see the intersection, and to the right of the intersection, you can see I've graded in a swale there, and then I've left space there for some street trees to be planted beyond the right of way, and there's also a little bit of room in there if you needed to run an underground utility in there. You could do that along the right of way. There's storm sewer that comes out of the cul-de-sac that can't make it into the detention basin that runs down. The pipe runs down along parallel to County Line Road and then comes out into the swale. And then that proposed swale would transition into the existing swale that runs down to a culvert just off the property. That's in front of Telford Borough Authority's property, and the stormwater crosses under the road there, right where the symbol for Schlosser and Klaus is. You can see there's a really light 2 lines crossing the road. That's the storm pipe that crosses the road. So, unless you guys are looking for improvements to County Line Road, PennDOT seems to be okay with what we've done as far as layout is concerned.
Yeah, Chris, this is Steve. The one thing I did note later in the letter was the possibility of showing a location for potential sidewalk or future sidewalk outside of the PennDOT right-of-way. I think that's what we ended up doing on the Kratz property on Ridge Valley Road. They didn't install a sidewalk, but we showed a location where it could be installed in the future and made sure that there was an area for that.
I locked up there for a second. I'm sorry. Just put something on a plan for a future location. Is that what you're suggesting?
Yes.
Steve, are you suggesting that sidewalk would be outside of the proposed right-of-way, the ultimate right-of-way?
Outside of the PennDOT right-of-way, but inside of the township ultimate right-of-way.
Okay. Okay.
That way we avoid PennDOT issues later.
Okay.
Andrew, this is Alex Ulmer. Do you propose to take any trees out heading north up towards the Naceville, going up the hill?
Yes, there is some very steep embankment right just north of the existing driveway, and we're going to take out probably 75 to 100 foot of the existing trees along that and grade that back a little bit so that it's not so steep right there. And then we're going to back plant between the right-of-way and the existing driveway and where I've relocated the existing driveway. That's all going to be back planted with trees. So we take some out, but we put a lot in.
No, that's fine. I just know that area. We've got a lot of trees that come down there and kind of cause traffic hazards there on County Line. That's what I was
Yeah, I mean, that was one of the things when I saw this right away. I noticed that's a really steep embankment and there's trees right up to the edge, and some of them didn't look real healthy. So I figured it would be best to just get them out of there and get some new trees planted in here with this project.
Well, I find it hard to believe I'm saying this. I agree with you.
Yeah, if you want to take a look at that, the landscaping plan is farther down in the set. Greg, if you want to hop down to it. I don't know exactly where that is in the plan set though. I want to say it's deep. It's like sheet 16 or 17.
14, 15.
Yes, that's correct. So on sheet 14, you can see all the trees that are proposed in there.
This plan set only goes to 7 for the PDF.
Sorry.
The hard copies do get there, but yeah, that looks good. Like I said, it's especially where the hillside's steep. Those trees, when they do come down, tend to fall into the roadway. So
Right.
Yeah, now I'm not doing all the way down to the culvert. I'm just doing, like I said, just like 75 to 100 foot down the road. So it's not going to be everything, but it will be all those trees right in that section.
and it does seem to level off a little bit after that too. So
It does.
Yeah.
All right, so if we're ready to move on,
Yeah, go ahead.
cartway width. I'm asking for a waiver for the cartway width down to the 30 feet that we've discussed, and then the next one is the cul-de-sac length exceeding 800 feet. I believe we're close to 1,200 feet, but we do have the existing house. That driveway will wrap all the way down, and I will reconnect that to the cul-de-sac about 80 feet from the intersection of County Line Road. So there will be a secondary way through Lot 7 to get back down to the beginning of the bulb.
Andrew, did you just say it's 1,200 feet?
I did. Am I wrong?
I hope so. We're looking at 950.
Yeah, it's
Hang on.
950.
Let me grab my. Yeah, I've got 980 here.
Okay.
So sorry, yeah, that's shorter than I remembered.
Driveway, you're going to
Andrew,
keep that
this is
existing
Andy.
driveway.
I'm sorry, go ahead, Chris.
Yeah, is that accurate? You're gonna keep that you're gonna have an access off the cul-de-sac to lot 7 dwelling, and then an existing driveway is gonna loop down and reconnect at the entrance?
That's correct.
Okay.
So yeah, if you go back to page 6, you can see how the driveway is rerouted back to the proposed cul-de-sac. The rerouting starts just beyond where I'm permitted to do construction. You know, I've got a wetland buffer in there, a setback in there that I can't disturb the driveway any farther northeast. So, you know, as soon as I'm allowed to start rerouting, I reroute that driveway.
How wide are you gonna make the driveway?
Excuse me?
How wide will the driveway be?
The driveways, driveway is shown as 10 feet. I can
Can you
make
get
that wider if you need me to. But we have had fire trucks up this driveway, so I know that fire trucks can make it through, sadly.
You know what? I'm sorry.
I said, sadly, we know that the fire apparatus can make it up the driveway now.
Oh, you have experience with that.
Yes, unfortunately.
Sorry to hear that. All right, so you have an emergency access.
Yes.
If you reconfigured the lots, could you get back down to 850 feet?
I could if I could put in flag lots.
But you can't do flag lots on a new road. That's a restriction in our ordinance.
Yeah.
Well, I don't think I have a problem with the extra length if we have that driveway going all the way to the entrance.
You also have less lots than we permit on the 800 foot.
Right.
You know, it's 800 foot and 12 lots, so you have less properties also.
Yeah, and this has been a hot button topic with the emergency access with extended length on a cul-de-sac, and as long as we're comfortable with that driveway providing that emergency access, I don't think I would have a problem with the extra length.
This is Andy. From the May meeting, we also said we want to make sure the fire marshal was agreeable to this. Did we put this before them yet?
The plan, is my understanding, the plan has been out to the fire marshal, and I have not heard back from him. So
They saw the initial plan, which I don't think, if I remember correctly, they did not have a concern with, but we'll make sure we get comment from this version of it.
Besides that, with the 10-foot driveway, Andy again here, I'm okay with that for secondary access. Wider would be better, I guess, but as Mr. Schlosser said, fire truck got up there before, so I'm sorry to hear that.
Okay. All right. Any other comment on the cul-de-sac length?
Yeah. The only other thing, Chris, this is Steve, that I would mention, I think I have it listed in the letter, is you also have public water in this facility. So we do not or will not have the issue with the fire ponds and the tanker brigades to fill them. Doesn't eliminate the concerns, but it will be a little bit easier for fire operations because of the public water.
Right. Okay. Thank you. All right. Well, I think we covered that. Why don't we move on?
Okay, so the last one is partial relief for sidewalk on one side of the cul-de-sac street, which I think we've already pretty well discussed.
Yeah, we've hit that. All right. Why don't you move on?
Okay, so in 3, A is pretty much just a comment. B is regarding the snow storage easement along lot 7, and I'm okay with whatever you guys want to do there. C, I'm okay with. We'll be looking to add something as far as the sidewalk is along County Line Road. D is street access improvements, encroachment of County Line Road. Okay, I didn't really understand what this comment was about, Steve.
Okay, well, obviously you need an HOP for your access, but if PennDOT wants a separate utility HOP for the storm sewer pipe, they generally want the township to be an applicant. And the township's policy is they won't be an applicant unless the developer signs a O&M agreement that'll run with the land saying that someone else is responsible, even though the township has their name on the permit.
Okay. All right, that sounds good. I'm okay
So if
with that.
PennDOT doesn't ask for the separate permit, it's a moot point. But if they ask for the township to be a permittee, then that would come into play.
All right, I'm willing to sign off on that. The next one is the name of the street. Someone from the post office said they didn't have Schlosser Road and they were okay with it, but I don't have anything in writing from them. Do I need to get something in writing from them?
At least the acknowledgement by email would be good.
Okay, the next one.
I have one item about the name of the road.
Yep.
I heard from someone that they may want to consider it lane instead of road.
Seriously?
Because road, lane, like Schlosser Lane.
That's fine.
So, okay.
Whatever. I'm willing to change it. I just, this is my chance to get my name on a street somewhere.
I heard that, so I was just going to throw it out there.
Okay, so I have no problem changing it to Lane. The next one looks like this one is regarding capital contribution in lieu of the improvements that we get waivers for, and that's fine. And we'll start working on cost estimates here soon. Number 4. This is a discussion of the irregular lot shapes that we need to we'll need to talk about that with the supervisors as well. Number 5 is regarding a gang mailbox for the post office. And then I have a question for you guys on this because I don't have really any experience on this type of development with gang mailboxes. The postmaster wants it as close to County Line Road as we're able to put it. And the question is, I just don't consider that really safe. So the question is, do you guys have experience with how close this can be to an intersection before it becomes a problem?
Not particularly.
This is Alex. I think we'd at least want it out of the clear sight triangle.
Oh yeah, I've got it 200 foot away from County Line Road because I just don't want people to pull in here and park along the side of the road that close to the intersection. That doesn't seem like a good idea to me, but I don't have a real feel for when it becomes a problem. When it gets, the closer it gets, the more of a problem it becomes, but I don't have a feel for when it's too close.
Yeah, I can't put a number on it either, Andrew, but for 7 or 8 lots, I can't imagine that it'll be a problem the way you have it designed. In a townhouse development where there'll be several people trying to get their mail at the same time, that might be different.
Yeah, the postmaster wants it closer to the road, so like 100 foot away, do you think that's enough, or is that getting too close? That's the real question here.
Let me see.
I'm not comfortable with closer than 100 foot, because that seems to be PennDOT's cutoff for intersections for a low volume driveway. They don't want stuff closer than 100 foot. They don't want crossing traffic closer than 100 foot. So I think that's as far down the road as I'm willing to move it.
Yeah, I'm fine with 100 foot.
Okay. And then I'll put an easement on lot 1 for the mailboxes. Item number 6 is regarding the ultimate right-of-way easement for County Line Road, and comment regarding preparation of legal documents. That's fine. I'm okay with that. Number 7, I'm okay with. That has to do with we're showing concrete monuments for all the new corners, and any old corner that doesn't have a marker on it. Recreation land is comment number 8. Typically, I guess you take a contribution for I don't know what the amount is, but for the recreation land, since we're not proposing any recreation land, I'm assuming you guys are okay with on this project with a contribution in lieu of.
I'm sure the township will accept it.
Does anybody know what that amount is? Is that a per lot?
For residential like this, I think there's a per lot in the fee schedule, right, Greg?
Correct. It's in the fee schedule.
All right.
Yeah, when it's commercial, it gets complicated because it's based on the size of the building and stuff.
Okay. The next group is regarding stormwater management things, and I'm okay with all of them. Let me ask you this: do you guys only allow concrete pipe, or is a waiver acceptable to put in HDPE, or you guys just want the concrete?
The township has not waived concrete pipe on public roads.
Okay.
So number 9, you're will comply on all letters.
Yes. Number 10 is regarding the landscaping plan. We need to get through. I need to talk to Steve about calculating replacement trees.
And it'll be a good conversation too for you, not a bad one, Andrew.
Okay. I didn't really consider any of it to be too bad. Comment 11 is regarding erosion sediment control approval, which we're working on. 12. I have a verbal that I have conditional approval from Telford Borough Authority. So I'm waiting for a letter from them. I still need to make some minor revisions and get them back to them, but I'm expecting approval from them shortly. 13. Penn's Trail is working on approval for the sewage facility. In the planning modules, they're working with the Bucks County Department of Health. I just received approval for the existing houses system today, so we can actually, as soon as the weather breaks, we'll be able to go to construction on the new septic system for the existing house. But Penn's Trail is working on the rest of the lots now.
Is the health department not going to sign off till the new system is in?
That's correct.
Okay.
So that's in place, and then we'll have everything ready to go by spring, so that once we put the system in, we'll be able to get the health department to sign off pretty much right away. At least that's what Penn Cheryl's telling me. That was 13. So 14, we need to talk about this. For street lighting, I didn't really know what you guys wanted to do. I put on the plan a driveway lamp at the end of each driveway. Not sure if that's what you guys want, or if that fulfills the requirement of the ordinance. Not really sure what direction to take with you guys. I don't think I've ever done a small job like a single family job like this.
This is Chris. My recollection from your previous plan is we wanted to see lamps at the end of driveways, and I think we were talking about a boulevard light at the entrance.
And Chris, I think that's in keeping with what we've done in the past, Alex.
Yeah. Does that make sense to you, Andrew?
Yes, it does. And now that you say that, that's kind of how I remember it too.
Chris, one other thought. Would we want to see some better lighting up at the entrance to lot, 7, the existing house? If that's going to be an emergency access?
I guess that's something to consider.
I'm sorry.
Alex,
what
you mean better than a lamp post?
Correct. Something a little more intense than just a driveway lamppost, if that's going to actually be a part of an emergency access.
So are you suggesting lighting along the existing driveway all the way?
No, my thought was just at the entrance.
Okay. At both
Something like
entrances.
a lamp post at that entrance, if it's going to be considered an emergency access. Is that what you're saying, Alex?
That's my thought on it, yeah.
Right. Well, you're right at the end of the sidewalk there, or the beginning of the sidewalk. Is it going to be a nuisance to any of the homes up there?
I could put a lamp on each side of the driveway. Would that?
Yeah, I mean, that'll probably help delineate and make it a little brighter.
That was my thought. Just something to delineate it a little better than every other one of the driveways.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah, that's not a bad idea.
Okay.
They're like $50 at Home Depot.
I'm not sure that that's exactly the flavor we're looking for this development. Hope not.
I hope not.
If my brother's buying one of these or two of these lots, I'm sure he's hoping not to. Comment 15 is regarding the financial agreement and an opinion of cost, and we're agreeable to that. And then item 16 is a bunch of drafting comments. The only one that I thought was really of significance was the spillway between the forebay and the main detention basin should have permanent control matting, and I assumed that was going to be a checker block transition, Steve. And I thought that I had that on the plan. So if not, I will make sure that because that spillway is actually going to be used through everything but I think the 1-year event. So that's going to have water flowing over it all the time. So I think I would prefer that to be a hardscape feature, a checker block type thing.
That's fine.
Okay. And that's pretty much it. Steve also sent me a bunch of other drafting details in drafting notes on another letter, but I'm agreeable to all of those as well. So I think that's pretty much it, guys, unless you have other comments.
One thing I know, what's the minimum? Is it 1 acre minimum lot area in the RA?
I want to say no. I want to say that it's smaller than that.
No, I'm looking
Yeah,
at
it's
lot
one-
one. Go ahead.
1 acre.
I'm looking at
By
lot one.
ordinance.
It's less than an acre net.
That excludes the net actually excludes the environmental easement. So I don't know that net is what you would define as net, but I can go back and check that.
Yeah, I mean, it's first thing I saw when I
On lot, on lot one. Well,
Yeah.
I have room to change that, the stormwater management easement, which would reduce that, the acreage of the stormwater management easement, which would increase the amount of my net area. So I'm sorry I missed that, guys, but that shouldn't be a problem.
So you're saying you could balance that out, Andrew?
Yes, absolutely.
Okay.
All right. So where are we going from here? What are we calling this? This is a preliminary. So what do they actually have to do here, Steve, to come back for preliminary final? Or do they have to?
Were you asking me, Chris?
Yeah, I'm asking you. I'm sorry.
Okay.
Well, we have a bunch of outstanding permits, and the planning modules are still outstanding. The planning modules are going to need your sign off anyway, so they have to come back to you for the planning module. I mean, design wise, I think if the planning commission was comfortable with that street layout and the lot layout, that's pretty much tied down. So it's just some of the outside agency approvals in the planning modules.
Okay. So once they acquire all that, they can come back in for a preliminary final. Brush up the plan a little bit.
Yeah, especially with the planning module being hanging out, I'd rather see that at least be submitted to the township.
Sure.
Now, if Andrew wants something now, I wouldn't be opposed to just a preliminary, or if he wanted to wait and get some more of the outside approvals in line, then ask for the preliminary final.
Yeah, let's do that. It sounds like everyone's comfortable with this plan, so get the rest of the ducks in a row and bring it in for a preliminary final.
So I can get both preliminary and final at the same time.
Yeah.
Okay. And then I'm real comfortable with that.
Okay. Good.
Chris, will
Yeah,
address
Andrew,
waivers at that time?
Alex, what'd you have there?
I said we'll address waivers at that time.
Yeah. Yep. And it sounded like everybody was comfortable with the waiver request.
Yeah, my only comment would be on number 6, the fire marshal approval, but
Right.
other than that, yep.
Yeah, we'll get that in the meantime.
Okay. All right. So it sounds like you have direction there, Andrew.
All right, guys, I appreciate your time.
All right.
All right, thank you.
Good luck with your approvals.
Thank you. Appreciate it. Take care, guys.
All right. Have a good night.
Good night.
You too.
All right.
How do you get rid of me?
Hang up the phone in the middle.
There you go. All right. So next item on the agenda is old business. I don't have any old business. Does anyone else?
This is Andy. No.
Alex, no.
John, no.
Greg or Steve, you got anything?
I don't think so. No,
Okay.
I haven't heard from Tim Snyder this month, so I don't know where he's going next.
Okay. Excellent. How about new business? We don't have any new business either.
I will just throw out that TH Properties is calling me every other day, so that they are feverishly working on their plan. I expect to see that in the next month or so.
All right. Yeah.
This is
Dennis?
Alex. No new business.
What was that, Alex?
Said I have no new business.
Okay. Thank you.
This is
Wait,
John.
Go
I'd
ahead,
like to bring up a topic. It's an old topic, but it's new business, and it's the cul-de-sac issues. You know, in the last several months, we've had 3 different proposals, all looking for variances on cul-de-sac length. And I've personally been opposed to all 3 of them because I consider it a safety issue that I don't think should be negotiable. But having said that, if the ordinance, the requirements that we have don't meet the needs of the developers, then should we look at changing the requirements rather than just issuing waivers? What I'm noticing from the discussion is somewhere between 800 and 1600, everyone has their personal cutoff for how long is too long. Should then we either look at what should be the right number and then stick with it, or possibly take a look at what other surrounding townships are doing? I'm very uncomfortable with the issue of putting in emergency roads when I can't find any description in any of our documentation that describes the requirements for emergency road. You know, for THP, we allow them to use a walking trail. This developer wants to use a private driveway. Like I said, I can't find any I don't know how you could commandeer a private driveway and use it as an emergency backup road without any specifications on what has to be part of that emergency access. So I just wanted to put that out there. I'm just extremely uncomfortable, and it's happened 3 times over the last couple of months where we've had this issue. And my suggestion is that we do something. Either change the number, throw away the number, define what emergency access is, take a look at what other townships are doing. Or if you're saying we're fine the way we are, we'll stick with the status quo and I'll just be permanently uncomfortable. I'm fine with that too. But I just wanted to put that out there.
All right. Thank you, John. Yeah, I'd be willing to see what others are doing. I mean, if you want to make it a hard number, then it shouldn't be in the saldo. It should be in the zoning ordinance. Again, you heard Mr. Van Leeuwen comment. It's in the saldo to allow for flexibility, and I think that the planning commission has hit it pretty hard that if it's over 800, we want some type of emergency access, and if that's something that we want to add to the saldo as a requirement, that's something we could possibly have discussion about. I don't, Steve, if you have any comment on that, I don't know what any other townships are doing. It seems to be what we are leaning to, as like John says, our last 3 projects have all requested this, and we've thrown it back at them that we want emergency access on all of them.
Chris, the numbers are, they vary a lot in our different townships. Some of them are as little as 500 feet, and then other places are in excess of 1,000 or over 1,000.
Okay.
If I remember correctly, when we first looked at this, we kind of I think we looked at it more from the number of lots perspective.
Right.
And then we kind of back figured, well, we have a certain lot width required in the ordinance. And if you're going to fit 12 lots on a street, it would have to be at least X feet long to even, be feasible to put the lots on it.
Right.
That said, no two properties are the same, which is why the subdivision ordinance allows for waivers, for certain conditions. But I think that was the background, is that the 12 lots was thought to be a good number. And then it was, how long does the street have to be to accommodate 12 lots?
Right.
Certainly we could expand the language in the ordinance to be more specific about emergency accesses when they're applicable, some minimum standards, et cetera, et cetera. That's a doable item. But, as you said, Chris, anybody could ask for a waiver. It's a matter of, what your policy will be to address those waivers.
Right.
As much as I've disagreed with Butter Creek Builders, I actually feel sorry for the guy, because he knows that it's a flexible number, that there's flexibility in there. But what he doesn't know is what's the maximum that he can get from us. And so it becomes then either a battle of persuasion or brute force or trial and error for him to get a design approved that he wants approved. And to me, it just doesn't feel like it should be that way. There should be less subjectivity over something like said. To me, this is a safety issue. So there should be, to me, a little bit more objectivity and a little less subjectivity for what's allowed for a safety issue.
Well, John, that's why we're here. We make the big bucks to work on that subjectivity end of things.
Did you get a cost of living increase this year?
Yep. 0 times anything is still 0, John.
Yeah,
All right, that's what I got. So I just wanted to check in.
Well, I've got a question that just came up in my head here. If you're going to use a private driveway as your emergency exit, is that part of the deed? When the person buys the property, they have to keep that open at all times. They can't put up a fence and a gate and no trespassing signs.
that's a
How does
great
that mean?
Yeah.
Or does he have to plow it when it, within 24 hours after it snows? I mean, there's a lot to maintaining a drive. I live on a 400-foot driveway, so I know there's a lot to maintaining a driveway that, if you have to be rigorous about it, then that puts a burden on the homeowner.
Yeah.
And potentially a liability on the homeowner, I would say, if he doesn't maintain his driveway to some minimum standard, and when he gets called upon to be used as an emergency access, it's not there.
Yeah.
That's a good point, Jim. Thanks for bringing that up. You should have chimed in while we were talking about it with Mr. Schlosser.
Well, since he wasn't getting his final approval, I held off until now, because I wanted to talk about it as a general issue, not just another one-off.
Right.
This is Steve. I would foresee that Mary would include restrictive covenants for this project, and one of them would include the use of that driveway as an emergency access.
Okay.
Now, that said, the maintenance issue, that's an ongoing problem. We have several connections and emergency access points in different developments in the township, and no, they're not regularly maintained, particularly in the winter. It's not something we have policed in the past, but it certainly could be if the township wanted to take that approach.
Yeah, I think we've been pushing emergency access for these projects. I think you almost have to have some type of a maintenance agreement with these access points. Otherwise, it's for naught. You can't use it.
Right, and I don't want to, put the burden back on the township, but I know a lot of townships that, when there is winter weather, when there's an ambulance dispatch, there's a plow dispatch, and that's not the ideal situation, but it is a fallback position that the township would clear it if it needed to be used in a winter storm.
In an emergency.
Right.
Right.
This is Alex. I just want to follow up on John's comment a little bit, that I think we're looking at this issue of a secondary access, and I don't think it's just for cul-de-sacs. I think we really got to think about it for the P-loop streets too, because you still only have that one point of entry.
Yeah. All right. Well, I know it's been suggested that we have discussion about these internal roads, whether the township is going to continue to take them over. Yeah, maybe we should continue these discussions in the same meeting when we get together to talk about that. So, any more discussion?
Just one comment, going into tonight, and I appreciate what John is saying. In our May meeting, the minutes said that we generally support the approval of a waiver, provided the fire marshal okayed it. So to remain consistent with that, this was the first of the three that we heard, right? But he came to us for direction previously, and that's what we had said. So to remain consistent with that, that's why I stayed that course. So we've seen two other cases since then that I still stick with what I had said last week, to look at each one on a case-by-case basis. But anyhow, that kind of went into my decision tonight.
All right. Well, can you guys hear me? Look like I left up. Okay.
No, we can hear you.
I definitely agree. We need to have further conversation with this, and again, I would suggest that we do that, to possibly do that at the same time we have the discussion about township taking over these internal roads, preferably on a slow month when we don't have any other business. We can get together to discuss these items. All right. Is there any other new business? How about our engineering update? Is there anything we need to know about here? Looks like
I don't think so.
no action.
No.
So you're saying that THP is probably going to be coming in soon, and more than likely Snyder will be back in. Is there anything else coming in?
Well, Energy Mountain's not going away, but
Oh boy.
they're gonna try some public outreach and things, I think, before they come back before you.
Public outreach or outrage?
Well, it depends how you look at it.
Has their zoning meeting been scheduled?
No.
Thank you.
Also, North Penn Water will be coming in with the tank at the township building.
The tank at the township.
Did they present at the supervisors meeting last month?
Correct.
Yes.
And they were told to come to the planning commission.
I was sick that night, so I didn't see it.
They give you guys all the hard stuff.
Yeah, what the heck?
That's why you make the big bucks.
Greg, will the township building be served by that water tower?
Yes. Well, most likely, yes.
Okay.
They want to put it on the township building property?
Correct.
No.
Yeah. We'll run a hose over to the township building.
Well, I would short out your solar panels.
No, we had that all checked already.
Excellent. Well, sounds like a plan. All right.
This is Andy. Excuse me, Chris, before you go. Jim, I got the chance to watch your, go ahead. Go ahead, Greg.
We have public comment too.
Oh, sorry.
Maybe.
Okay. Well, we can talk about this under new business if that's okay. Jim, I watched your presentation, for the county commissioners and the solar farm, I guess. Where is that going?
It's directly to the south side of the township building which is behind the township building, but facing more toward the Moore House.
Mhm.
It's on an angle there. It'll be 90 feet wide and about 50 feet deep. There's two big rows. It'll make about 90 megawatts a year. It'll be sitting probably about 50 to 60 feet behind the building itself, somewhere in that vicinity right there. Yeah, so it'll be almost parallel to Ridge Road. Yeah.
Okay.
We're currently waiting on PPNL. They decided they want to do a full electrical engineering study, and we have no idea how long that's going to take.
Okay. Well, thanks for presenting.
Yep.
Jim, are we considering goats for lawn maintenance under those panels?
No, we had thought about that. Actually, somebody else suggested that too. I was afraid they'd climb up on the panels. But we're looking at all Pennsylvania natural plants and flora, and should be maintenance free. We may go in once a year and mow it, something like that.
Great. I might throw out that you could talk to maybe Perkiomen Watershed Conservancy. They have a huge greenhouse where they grow native plants and stuff like that.
Oh,
and
that's
they might
good.
be interested in getting involved in the project.
Hey, could you send me some info?
Yep. I'll send you a contact info. Yep.
Yeah, thank you very much. Appreciate
Sure.
it. Yeah.
All right, I locked up again. I'm sorry. Okay, so any more new business? All right. So, Greg, you say we have some public comment?
I think so, or did I answer the question in the email? Tony.
Oh, I'm
Tony,
sorry.
your email, was it public comment or did I answer it?
I would say it's a public comment, but I have a few public comments.
Okay.
But I'll read your email. But anyhow, in regards to this Schlosser project, there's just a few things that I'd like to make a comment on. The one is that I think that the township really should consider sidewalks on both sides of the street, because when the school bus comes up County Line Road, the parents are going to come and drive down that side of the road, or on the heading in, obviously they're going to be on the left-hand side of the road, which means that the kids getting out of the car, there's no sidewalks there, and they're walking in the street. It just seems to be a safety issue. Same thing when the bus comes back home or comes back up County Line. The same thing is that the cars are parked and there's no sidewalk there. That's my only suggestion on that. And I think it's silly for the township to come back and put sidewalk in, under the township's responsibility. That's my one comment on that. The other comment too is that I think the street lighting, something should be considered on that mailbox area, because in the wintertime when it gets dark at 4 o'clock or 5 o'clock, somebody coming home from work, it might be a little bit easier to see the mailboxes if it's lit. And then the other comment too that I guess you answered in the email was that access road is the maintenance of it, whether it's snow plowing, whether it's the repair of the road. I would veer away from the township taking responsibility on that, when in fact it's like essentially it could be used as someone's driveway. And then the maintenance of the retention basin, who maintains that? Because there was never an HOA talked about or not, but I mean, there is maintenance with the retention basin. So there are my comments, and that's that.
Okay, thanks, Tony. Anybody want to answer any of those questions? Who does maintain the retention basins?
Never the township. West Rockwell Township has never accepted a stormwater management basin since I've been around. We don't own any of them. So there's an agreement with either the property owner and or a homeowners association to maintain the basins. The township has the right to inspect them and tell them they're not doing it right if they're not, but the township never has the financial responsibility to maintain them.
Okay. Have we ever had problems with non-maintenance?
Nothing serious.
Good to know. All right, any other public comment?
No other public comment.
Okay, anything else anybody wants to talk about? Business related? Hearing none, I would look for a motion to adjourn.
This is Alex, also motion.
John, I'll second.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay, motion carries. All right, thanks, everybody. Have a great night.
Thank
Have a
you.
good night.
Hi, guys.